Hey, this is Alex with the Unbiased Trailblazer podcast. Make sure to follow us on Spotify so you can catch every new episode that we post. Also, follow us on Twitter at Unbiased Blazers. In our bio, there's a link to join our Discord server where you can join in on the discussion. You can give us takes, comments, questions for us to talk about on future episodes. Now, let's get to the show. Rip City, baby. Hello and welcome everyone to, I'm going to say this is a special edition episode here, episode 10. This is going to be a shorter podcast because it's mainly just on one topic here, and it's the madness that's going on with the coaching decision and the fan base reaction to that decision and what has happened since the day of talking about hiring a coach. So we're going to we're going to jump right into it. And this is a very touchy subject because it has to do with sexual assault accusations and, people's feelings. So one thing I wanted is to just say everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Nobody's opinions are wrong, but at the same time, some people have stronger opinions than others. We just have to be able to accept each other's opinions and not take it as disrespect or that it's sexual. If you don't think that people would say it's not a big deal, that it's a sexual assault, charge, it's obviously a serious issue. So this is going to be a kind of a sensitive subject here, but I think we're going to try our best just to be open and honest with our feelings and try to just stick to making it this about the Portland Trailblazers and not the sexual assault case. So with that being said, we obviously hired Chauncey Billups as our new head coach for 5 years, and I believe the 5th year is a team option, so 4 years and then a team option for the 5th year. Right off the bat, how do you guys feel about that? Because I know we've talked about it in past episodes, so how do you guys feel just as Chauncey as the head coach himself? How do you feel that's going to be?
I guess I'll start. Like we have talked about it in the last two episodes, but I think it's just strictly as a coach, I think it could work. It is a risk because he's only been an assistant for 1 year, so there's not a lot of there's not a big body of work for us to judge him off of. But from what I've heard, like him as a leader for the Pistons and even just the work he's done with PG and Kawhi, they said that he's helped with their playmaking. And surely he can be a worse defensive coach than Stotts. I think there is some potential for improvement. I don't know if he can take us over the top to a contender, but I don't know if any coach can do that. So strictly as a coach, I don't think I have a issue with him. Still, I would have preferred D'Antoni, but just as a coach, I'm perfectly fine with the hire. It's just the other stuff that we'll get into after. And for the 5-year deal, that was really surprising to me. I thought it would have been 3 or maybe even a 3+1. 4+1 is surprising to me, but I don't really I don't think about it I don't have any strong feelings about it either way.
Yeah, I'll start with the basketball standpoint too. Uh, I said on the previous podcast, I was really on the verge with who I wanted, but I also favored MDA just because of the experience and the importance of this year. It's like it may be our last contending year in a while, so I wanted to get the sure thing, not the new coach. But Billups was my second favorite, if I'm not counting the non-interviewees. Billups was definitely my second favorite. I read a lot about him. Ever since I knew a lot before because he played with Melo, and I know everything that's related to Melo. And I studied a lot, and he's that guy that can lead the locker room and really put the players on their place and motivate and behave when it's time to do so. So in that regardless, I know he can be good. but he could do those things also while being an assistant coach. But yeah, as a head coach, I am happy too because I want those qualities in Borges' team. I think we kind of got soft, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, out of those three, we were all okay with any of them. For me, like I said in the last episode, he was my third choice, but I mean, I still think he has a chance at being a good coach. He obviously played for the Pistons when, he was the point guard for them and they made their runs to the championship, and they played good defense. And I think it's going to translate, hopefully, that he'll have some, like Fawad said, it can't get much worse. So, I mean, really, anything's pretty much an upgrade on defense. Hopefully, let's not jinx ourselves, but hopefully it's an upgrade. Um, but I do think he's a good leader. He was a good leader on the teams that he was on. So to me, I was fine with it as the basketball standpoint. And like Fawad said, we'll get into this to the other stuff in just a little bit. But like we said, I don't think it could get any worse on defense, and I think our offense is perfectly fine. It's just working on our defense now. So that remains to be seen what's going to happen. But I think it can be a good fit for us. And like Fawad said, I was a little surprised by 5 years also. But that's kind of how Portland is. Terry Stotts was here for 9 years, so we don't give up on people quick. We'll ride it out. So, well, I guess we'll see how this one works out. You guys want to add anything else?
I'm good. I'm ready
Yeah,
for
I'm
the
good too.
dirt.
Okay. So here's where we're going to get into the sensitive stuff. I'm not going to get into too much details because obviously I'm sure a lot of people know it already. And if you don't know it, it's a simple Google away. But just to kind of sum it up, back in 1997, Chauncey Billups was accused of some sexual assault, something to do with sexual assault. We'll just put it that way. And he was never convicted of the sexual assault. He settled out of court, so we don't know really how much he settled for or what it was settled for. But all we know is that he was accused of sexual assault, and he was never convicted. They settled, and that was it. So obviously, it's a hot topic in Portland. Everyone is a lot. I won't say everyone. I will say a lot of people are bashing Neil O'Shea for hiring him. A lot of people are bashing Lillard, which I don't truly understand why, because Lillard did not really have. He didn't. I mean, at one point he said he wanted Jason Kidd, and obviously we didn't get Jason Kidd. So for them to be mad at Lillard for this, Lillard received a list of coaches, and if I had to assume, he looked at these list of coaches and said, "Yeah, I'm fine with these coaches. Like these are coaches that I'd be okay with." So with that, just like I said, it's a sensitive subject. I'll start off with it. For me, 1997 is long ago. And let me preface this by saying I don't believe that any kind of sexual assault is okay, whether whether it happened or not. The issue is he was never convicted. They settled out of court. We're treating it as though he was convicted. And if he did it, then it's that's not good and that's a horrible thing. But for everyone to jump on it like he's just guilty right away without, knowing what really happened that day. And, we see it a lot. We see it happen a lot. I mean, it happened to Kobe. It happened right off the top of my head. The only ones I can think of are Kobe and Ben Roethlisberger, but it happens all the time. So whether it happened or not, we'll never know. We'll never ever know. But to treat it like he is guilty and that, this is a horrible hire because he did this back in 1997. One thing with me is that, yes, he was accused of it in 1997, but you haven't heard of anything else. At least I haven't heard of anything else since then. It's not like this is some behavior that he can't get past and he keeps having issues with the law or issues with females, since then. So, whether it happened or not we have no control of it. And for us to get mad at Dame for, I would, I guess, say signing off on hiring him, is insane, and we're pushing Lillard away when that's the last thing we want. Everyone was so afraid of him leaving, and yet what the whole Portland fan base and you know, a lot of people probably don't even care about the Portland Trailblazers that are sitting here making these comments about it. So they have no ties to it other than they want that internet drama. They want that, oh, I can't believe you guys are doing this. So, like I said, it's a touchy subject. I'll let Fawad, if you want to go, or Mike, whoever wants to go first, go on and go ahead and just tell me how you kind of feel about it.
A lot of my thoughts are pretty similar to you. I'm gonna start off by saying like I'm gonna go over both sides of the coin, I guess. So obviously, like you said, it was 1997. That's 24 years ago. I think he was only 20 or 21 at the time, so he's not like a kid, but he was pretty young. Um, and like you said, like we haven't heard of any other, I guess, behavioral issues with him. Everyone who's worked with him or has been teammates with him, they've like only had good things to say and like really good things to say too. So as from what we know, other than that scenario, he seems like a pretty, at least a good guy, or at least, not a bad guy at the very least. But then again, the details of that case do seem pretty serious, and his story seemed a little inconsistent. While I personally kind of do think that he did it, I don't know if that's relevant towards the hiring because he can't prove it one way or another. Um, and I don't know if we can fault the organization if they don't know for certain. Um, Perhaps they should have done a lot of people have mentioned online. Maybe they should have conducted a independent investigation, like from a third party. Or maybe they did and we don't know. And like I honestly I believe in second chances with everything. So even if he did do it, I think if he has earned his let's call it redemption, I feel like he should be given a shot. Like Neil O'Shea has worked with him in the past, and in his opinion, he's a good guy. But I think he could have changed. He could just be a better person now. But there's so much we don't know. Maybe he never did anything wrong in the first place. I don't know. I'm kind of I have a lot of mixed thoughts on this, and I'm not really saying anything coherent. So I guess I'll let Mike go.
Oof. This has been some tough days for me. I'm a moderator in the official Blazers Discord, and it's funny that when Billups was announced, I was kind of we were kind of deciding if we were gonna ban like a couple of guys, and I decided I wouldn't, and we had a vote on it, and we ended up the whole server against me and those guys that were about to be banned. Us three had the same opinion, and it's basically similar to both yours opinions, except if he did it, if he truly did it, I don't think being 24 years ago is a matter. But the problem is that it's just allegations at the end of the day. Many players have gone by. As you mentioned, Kobe. If you go to other sports, there's a bunch too. Even the best soccer player in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo, had a case exactly like this, and he set out of court too. So there's a lot of cases about this, and you don't know what is real, what is not. Normally, when something is truly real and you can see the victim getting a huge indemnization, uh, you see lawyers trying to pick up the case, and that didn't happen. So I don't know. It's tough to debate how the case is. I'm not a detective, but I know the Blazers ran their own investigation. The Clippers ran their own investigation too. But that's not even the problem, in my opinion. The main problem here is that Billups was a assistant coach in the Clippers for a year, and we heard none of this. And as soon as he signs, he basically just gotta level up. Like already being an assistant coach in the NBA is a huge gig, but he just gotta level up and became a head coach. And as soon as he's announced, even before he's announced, like he was just on final interviews with two of the actual favorite candidates because I was expecting more MDA and Becky than Billups actually. So he was against two favorite candidates, and you already started hearing the stuff about the allegations even before he was announced. So it was sad to watch, and even worse than because it's bad for Chauncey. Of course, there's a remote possibility that he actually did it, and in that case, he should not get the job. Of course, it's obvious. But there's also the remote possibility that he didn't do it. So, how does Chauncey feel about his first job, his first real job as a head coach, gets tainted by a bunch of people calling him something he's not? But that's not even the worst part. The worst part goes to Dame. I saw Dame's tweet, and instantly I like lost hope for the Portland fan base. Even though most comments maybe are not like 50-50 Portland fans and Laker fans, Clipper fans wanting traded, but a lot of comments banging on Dame when Dame literally said a phrase. He said two words. He said "Kid or Billups," with no tracing of who has allegations, who has what. He said his friend, his idol, Jason Kidd, and he said Billups because he knows he's good. He's friends with Melo. He knows he'd be a good coach. And as soon as he said it, just 3 words, he gets accused of supporting a sexual assault. Uh, I don't even have words to describe it. It's shameful. It's really sad to be a Portland fan amidst all of this because I don't think I've ever seen something like this in the NBA. Even I don't know. We are the Jailblazers team, and we are crucifying the star that did nothing wrong just for saying a couple of names. It's truly sad. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, and I wanna actually respond to a couple things both of you guys said. But first off, let's go over this tweet that we're talking about. So somebody tweeted at Dame saying that this is on Dame in his opinion. They are always going to hire exactly who he wanted, and he wanted either Billups or Kidd. Okay. So and then he goes on to say they put out names like Becky Hammond and Mike D'Antoni to cool off the backlash, but I truly don't think so. I don't think that's true at all. I think Becky Hammond and Mike D'Antoni were candidates from the get-go that they were interested in. And we said before all of this even happened that it seemed like Neil Olshey really wanted Billups from the get-go. So it wasn't like because Lillard said something. So in return, Lillard responded, I really, with a question mark, I was asked what coaches I like of the names I heard, and I named them. I wasn't aware of the history. I didn't read the news when I was 7 or 8 years old. I don't support those things. So right there, he's telling you he was given a list of names. He said which names he liked, and from there, it's up to the the front office to make those decisions. So to sit here and try to blame it on Dame is, in my opinion, the worst, just sad excuse that you can do. And this person, whoever it is, may not even be a Blazer fan, may not even care. So I mean,
They were
we
a
don't.
Raptors fan.
There you go. See,
Yeah,
so I mean,
DeSantis, Ananobi.
so with that, I want to respond to both things you both said. First off, Fawad, you talked about second chances, and I totally agree. Everybody makes mistakes. Everyone is entitled to second chances. And like we said, since that has happened, we have not heard any kind of reports on him of, misconduct. So to me, if it is something he did, and we'll never know, everybody deserves a second chance. Yes, it's a bad accusation, and if it's true, it's a very, I feel bad for the girl that it happened to, or if it was multiple girls, I feel bad for them. And I'm not saying that he deserves a coaching job if he did it. I'm just saying everybody deserves second chances. People make mistakes. Things can be miscommunicated where, he may think there was consent and there wasn't. I mean, there's lots of things that come into play, but just to, without having any proof of anything, just come out and accuse him and say he did it and I can't believe we hired him, I think is just, it's not right. It's not the right thing to do. And then for Mike, you talked about, let me try to remember what it was. You talked about the 24 years, it being 24 years ago, and I totally agree. It doesn't matter if it was 100 years ago. It's bad either way.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everyone knows we're not saying because it was so long ago, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal if it's true. It's an accusation, and unfortunately, we'll never know.
Yeah, I
Unless,
wasn't justifying it or brushing it off in
yeah,
any way. I was just pointing out that it has been a long time and he may have changed in that time, but I don't think that's a reason to take it lightly or to, like let him off the hook or anything. Absolutely not.
exactly. And I wanted to make sure we got that out there because I can see how it kind of did sound like we were saying that, but truly, it's not that. We understand it was a long time ago, and that doesn't make it any less important or any more important if it happened a year ago or 20 years ago. It's the same situation. So I just want to make sure we all know that. I feel bad for Lillard because he wants to win here. He wants to stay here. He wants to stay to his word and either bring a championship here or never leave and be fine with it. And I truly believe that he means that. I truly think if he never won a championship and he stayed here, he would be 100% fine with it. But I don't blame him if he were to want to leave. I don't blame him for the way the fan base has reacted to this, the way the fan base has treated him these last couple days, and honestly, the way the years before this year have panned out with just never really bringing in anybody. And like we said a couple episodes ago, we felt like this year was the first time where we actually were like, oh wow, we're actually trying to do something here. We're actually trying to build a team now. And for it to end the way it did this year sucked. So I don't blame him. It's gonna suck, and I would hate it because we all love Lillard and we know how much he means to the team and what he brings, and he's one of the best players in the NBA. But at the same time, I don't blame him. It would be so hard to want to stay if this continues to keep happening because he's kind of a no bullshit kind of guy. He does what he's supposed to do. He doesn't do extra. He doesn't need to be into the politics and everything. He's there to play basketball, and he does stuff off the court away from basketball. That's his business, and he does things for the community in Portland. And I hear it all the time, all the stuff that he does for Portland and Oakland, and it's insane to me the way people are treating him. And a lot of it are people that probably, like we said earlier, are not fans of Portland and either want him to leave so they can have a chance at getting him, or are just there trying to start internet drama. So if you guys want to add anything on Lillard being treated, go ahead.
I think that last little bit that you just said, like, it perfectly summarized my thoughts. He's given so much to not just the team, but the city of Portland and his home city, Oakland. The fact that people are even trying to put this on him, like, in any way, is extremely depressing. And I really hope Dame doesn't leave, or even if he does, I hope he gives us one more year at least. But like you said, I would completely understand the decision, and I wouldn't hold any ill will against him if he did decide to leave.
None at all. I totally would get it too. I would not. I'd be disappointed. I'd be sad that he left because of what he means to everybody and how good he is. But I would totally get it 100%, and it sucks because it's like the people that do understand and care and know it's not his fault and understand how things work. He's not hearing those. All he's hearing is all these people saying, you did this. This is your fault. And it's like, there are probably more people that know.
Yeah.
That, understand it better than these people. So it's a tough situation and I don't like it either way. Mike, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm actually in a kind of different boat. It's kind of the same, but it's a different boat. You're saying you don't blame Dame if he leaves. I actually want Dame to leave right now. Because seeing how this is unfolding, seeing slowly the tweets coming by and the reports and the trade rumors, I just feel that this season is going to be like a toxic environment in the Blazers because not only it involves the players, since Nurkic already talked about if there's no Dame, he doesn't want to be here. So there was also another point of a player that he's just here because of Dame. But he says if Dame leaves, he goes. And Dame listening to this, listening to the trade rumors, reading those tweets, seeing the front office get attacked, seeing the fans turning to him, turning to the front office, turning to the coach even before he was announced. It just creates a toxic environment, and he's 30 years old. He's going to be 31 in 2 weeks. Uh, I'd be sad in a certain way, but I'd be happy for Lillard, for him to go to an actual contender where he won't be attacked as much. He won't be every player gets attacked, but he won't be attacked or just like he did here, and he can maybe get a ring.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think
uh,
I think we all agree. I mean, we know he deserves to be on a team that is, going for a championship. Um, we just want it to be our team, unfortunately.
yeah. Earlier this morning, I felt the same way. I was like, kind of not hoping, but I was like, I kind of do prefer if he was on a real team. But now I've like settled down a little more. I want him to stay and give us another chance, and then after that, like, feel free to leave
It's just such
if it
a
still does.
it's just such a what he's done in the 8 years that he's been here, 9 years that he's been here. I mean, it's crazy. Like we can't expect what he's done for our team. We can't expect that from from another player that we have. And in the next podcast, we're gonna talk about if he were to ask for a trade, possible trade destinations and things. But it's a bad time. This isn't normally what the fans of Portland are like. This is totally new. This is not how we treat our Blazer players, how we treat, the front office. Yeah, we can get annoyed at players or annoyed at, the front office or, a coach or something and, blame stuff on, we lost because of this, but this is on a whole other level. They've taken it to level 100 and they're
This is
blowing past that.
not just new in the Blazers, it's new in the NBA. I've never seen something
True.
like it since
Yeah.
I watch NBA. I've never seen a fan base completely turning on something. I don't know, it's the world kind of. I don't want to say the word evolving, but I'm gonna say it. And the unquote, quote, cancel culture already being the thing, I think every player is under a black light of what they do and what they don't. And unfortunately, that got into basketball, and Dame and Chauncey were the first victim.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing right now is this cancel culture. I think that's what's happening right now, and unfortunately, it's happening to us, and it's just
Yeah.
crazy. Well, it looks like we lost Fouad, so I think we'll just kind of wrap it up here. Like I said, this was a kind of a special edition episode because of what's happening. So our next episode, when we do it, we'll talk about once again, we skipped the top 3 Blazer moments. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about trade destinations for Lillard if, something that we think could be or what, the media thinks is a good spot or good return for us. And hopefully by then we'll have some better news and maybe things will have calmed down. But until then, it's just a waiting game, I guess. The song today was from. I honestly, you know what? I don't think we're gonna do a song today. I think I don't feel like putting a song on, so I don't think we're gonna do a song. I think we're just gonna end it on a somber note here, and we're just gonna go. Hopefully, on the next podcast, it's gonna be a much better tone, a much happier tone, and we'll have a more enjoyable conversation than what we had to talk about today. Anything you guys want to add before we stop?
Yeah. Whoever brings Lakers mock trades for the next podcast instantly gets banned.
Sounds good.
No Dame to Lakers conversation, please.
Yeah, we don't want that. Anything for you, Fuad? It looks like you joined back in.
Yeah, no, that I think we talked about everything. This whole topic's like really depressing. I hope, like you said, next podcast is a lot happier.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Feel free to join us in our conversations on our Discord or on Twitter and just kind of let us know how you're feeling. As always, Rip City, baby.